Hey, good morning, Dr. Manhattan. Hey, good morning, beautiful people. It's 2 o'clock. Why are you up so early? I kind of thought I was going to be up by myself. Dr. Manhattan, let me tell you what happened. I don't know how long I'm going to leave it like that, but it took me forever. I won the appeal on my Caroline Levitt video that was flagged. And I think by me just giving my commentary, not really, just giving my commentary and getting out of here will help me. I won the appeal, by the way. How did that video get flagged? It was great. It could be YouTube though, maybe restricting the commentary. I don't know, but I'll try it out. Anyway, hey Daniel, happy Monday. Dr. Manhattan. Hey Robin, good morning. How are you? I'm up early. So are you guys. Why? Why are you guys up so early? You ready for Donald Trump today? Later, I'll do a regular live stream, hopefully. Love how you can just wing it. I got my collagen water. Good morning, Dylan. How are you? Okay, y'all, let's get into this commentary. As usual, I will communicate with you guys the same way I always do with my phone. You went to sleep too early? Oh, I almost highlighted. Okay. Oh, Robin, I'm glad. I'm glad. All right, y'all, I'm going to get into this so we can come back and we can talk about it. Good morning, Catwalk. Good morning. I told a liberal to celebrate Trump today. That went over well. You're going to have to tell me about that. You got to tell me about it. All right, you guys. I love you guys. Let's get into the commentary. Everything I share is for educational purposes to discuss. And good morning, Sebastian. Let's go. Thank you, Robin.
The First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump.
And thank you for your warm welcome. The President and I are grateful to be with you, to honor the passion you share through unmatched bravery, resilience, and service to our great nation. Thank you for defending our freedom. It is with immense pleasure for me to address the Fort Bragg and Pope Army Airfield community today. To our great armed forces of the United States stationed all over the world, I have a nostalgia-filled message.
Has anyone seen her?
Happy Valentine's Day. Love letters have symbolized the union of patriotism and family devotion among our soldiers for 250 years. The harmony of love of country and love of family is what makes us uniquely American. It is very balanced, which strengthens our military and builds our communities. And now, it is my distinct honor to introduce your Commander-in-Chief, our leader who maintains a mission of peace through strength, President Donald J. Trump.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee. Thank you, everybody. I love that song, I must say. I was really referring to the song. They turned it off. That's terrible. But that's all right. Honey, thank you very much. Appreciate this. So we have an amazing group of people before me. Amazing. and very proud of you. Somebody said, I was just watching a little news coming down. They said, oh, it's amazing he can find the time in his busy schedule. Believe me, you're the time. My schedule's not the time. Although we do have a couple of interesting things happen.
If you guys
We just
see
had
something
fantastic
on it that I can play.
reports on inflation, way down. Costs of products, way down. We inherited a mess, total mess, and now it's really coming along. We have the greatest numbers that we've ever had. We're hitting all-time high stock numbers. We're hitting all-time high S&P and Dow numbers. You saw that a few days ago, at the end of the first year. They said that it was going to take maybe 4 years, the end of the term, to hit 50,000 on the Dow. We did it in 1 year. And likewise, to hit 7,000 on the S&P was going to take at least 4 years, could be 5 or 6. We did it in 1 year. So, and all I know is forget about the stock market, forget about Wall Street. Your 401ks are doing very well. I don't have to ask you. Is anybody doing poorly with their 401k? If they were, you're a pretty bad investor, I'll tell you. But I want to thank Melania. Our country is truly blessed to have such a phenomenal First Lady. And now she's a movie star on top. Can you believe? She did a movie. It's the hottest thing you've ever. It's crazy. Congratulations, by the way. Very good. You know who loves that movie? The ladies. They go see it 3-4 times. That's what I heard. They go see it with the husband. Husband really likes it a lot, but the women go back and see it. But she's a great First Lady. And I'm thrilled to be back at one of the greatest and most celebrated military bases in the history of the world. Fort Bragg, we have your name back. We got your name back from the radical left. The radical left is not happy about it. It's another reason you have to vote for us, because they'll change it back to whatever it might be. This is the home of the legendary Green Berets, the home of the Sky Dragons, and the All-American 82nd Airborne. And in particular, I hear that we are joined by many exceptional soldiers from the 1st Brigade Combat Team, also known as the Devils in Baggy Pants. What's that all about? The Devils, they are devils. And you are devils. And I have no higher honor in life than to be your Commander-in-Chief. I'm so proud of you all. And so let me begin by saying a very, very big thank you to our great warriors and the men and women of the United States Army. Unbelievable. Very special thanks also to all of the incredible military families who are here today. You know, without that family, our soldiers would not be the same. It's a whole big deal. I don't think they get enough credit, but they do get credit with me. That's why I sent you 1776 a couple of weeks ago, a little while ago. We had a lot of money coming into our country from tariffs. And I said, let's send a little to our, so, you know, they came in, they said, sir, we can do 1,775. I said, oh, that's good. They put the number. I said, you know, if we add one more dollar, it's 1776. I said, add a dollar. Add a dollar. Did everybody get 1776? I think so, right? You think the Democrats would have done that? Forget it. But it's really because of your incredible sacrifices to keep America safe and free. There's nobody more respected than the people in this room. We're also joined by General Gregory Anderson, General Brandon Tagmeyer, Secretary Howard Lutnick, Senator Ted Budd. He's doing a fantastic job, too. Members of Congress, Mark Harris, Pat Harrigan, Brad Knott, David Rouser, Addison McDowell, and your own congressman from right here in the district. A really great guy. He's a real leader, too. Richard Hudson. Where are they? Where are they all? Look at them. They're all dressed up. They have to be nice to you because without your vote, forget it. They're out of commission, right, fellas? But what a good job. And Richard, this is your area. Congratulations. He's always bugging me for more money for Fort Bragg. I said, Richard, get off my back. And we're going to do that. You know, they're talking about a big compound, right? And we're going to get that done. We're going to get it done for you. Now, if the Democrats get in, it's not going to happen. I guarantee you that. But we're going to get that done. That's your number one priority, I think. Richard Hudson. So you have another man who is running for the Senate, who is phenomenal. The only thing is, he's not as well known. He was behind the scenes. He was the head of my 3 campaigns. I won all 3 times here by a lot. It wasn't even close. And he was responsible, along with Laura Trump. Laura is fantastic. Born here and loves the area, but they work together. But Michael Watley, if he's here, I don't know. Michael, will you come here for a second, please? He's running for the Senate. And if he gets in, you're going to be taken care of. If he doesn't get in, we're going to be stripping the military like they always do, the Democrats. And this is a man who was the head of North Carolina. So he did so well that I said, wow, who was that guy that did so well? Because when it came time to picking the head of the Republican Party, I picked him. And you saw what happened in the last election. We won in a landslide. We won every swing state, all 7 swing states. We won by millions of votes, the popular vote. You know, the first time I won, but they say I didn't win the popular vote.
It's 2:30 in the morning, of course it isn't lying.
I won it by a lot, but they said, and so every time they'd introduce Donald Trump, who didn't win the popular vote, but he, you know, whatever. I said, I don't ever want that to happen again. But we did. We won everything. And this is a man that was in charge of this state. He did so well here. There was nobody else that I even considered to run the RNC. That's the whole country. And we had a big victory just recently that you know very well. A victory like they've never seen. So I'd just like you to say a couple of words, Michael. Congratulations. Big victory just recently. You know very well. Good to see you. Victory like they've never seen. So
in 2015, Donald Trump came down an escalator and said that he was going to make America great, that he was going to protect our country, that he was going to make sure that our men and women in uniform had what they needed to protect our interests and our allies around the world. And North Carolina stood up and said, that's our guy. And in his term in office and in this term in office, there has never been a president who has fought for Fort Bragg, who has fought for the men and women in uniform in North Carolina, as well as our veterans, more and harder and better than Donald J. Trump, our 45th and 47th president of the United States of America. I am thrilled that he has asked me to run for Senate in North Carolina and is giving me an opportunity to represent you and to fight for you and every other base that we have in this great state.
There's an echo on my end, but if you guys are good, okay.
To make sure that America and our allies are going to be protected. Because the highest, most important function for any government is to keep its communities and its citizens safe. And we have the best president right now to do that. And I am honored to be with him today. Thank you. Thank you.
And the word is he's doing really well. But when I heard they were taking the name Fort Bragg off, I said, no, they're kidding. That's not going to do. They did. They took the name off. We got it back very quickly. But they took it off. And if we don't win the midterms, they'll take it off again. They'll take it off again. You can't let that happen. And this man is exceptional, I'll tell you right now. So with the help of everyone in this room, America is the strongest military on the face of the earth. We rebuilt it. We really did. We rebuilt it in my first term. We had a great first term. We had the best economy in history, but this is blowing it away. But we had a great economy in the first term. We did everything, but we really created a tremendous military. Now, some of it was given away, actually a lot, but small compared to what we did to Afghanistan. You remember that, where they left all the military equipment behind? We wouldn't have left anything. We were going to get out with dignity and strength, respect. We looked like we were running. We don't run from anybody. That was a Biden embarrassment. What a terrible president. But we came back and we already have rebuilt our military to stronger than it was even then. And we don't leave equipment behind. We don't leave jets behind. I said, why do you leave those jets behind? Sure, I thought it was cheaper to leave it behind. You know, $150 million plane. All they had to do is put a little jet fuel in there and fly it to wherever they want to fly it. These people were the worst. But we can't let it happen again. Our military, if the Democrats get in, will be severely misserved. But we rebuilt it in my first term, and now we're making it stronger, bigger, and better than ever before. The recruiting is through the roof. You know that after years of recruiting shortfalls, as an example, new enlistments have soared to record highs. We had a year and a half ago, nobody wanted to join the military. They didn't want to join the Army. You know that. It was like terrible. They didn't want to join the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Coast Guard, or my beloved, how about that, Space Force. Do we like Space Force? It's turning out to be very important. But they tried to end that, and actually the military refused to allow that to happen. But you couldn't get people to join. And as soon as we won the election, that election took place on November 5th. From November 5th on, it was like a miracle. Now we have waiting lists for every branch of the military, waiting lists of people to get in. In other words, your jobs are wanted by everybody. And isn't that a better feeling? I'm looking at the smiling faces. We've got a lot of smiling faces. You should be smiling. Last year, the Navy and Air Force and Space Force all surpassed their recruiting goals by 5 months early, and the numbers are through the roof. In fact, it'd be a very good time to expand. It's a good time to expand. But the Army did even better than the others, and you shattered your annual recruitment by almost 5 months and lots of days. But more importantly, the number and the quality of recruit has never been higher. This year, the Army is beating its recruitment goal by 116%. And I'm very proud of that. I was very embarrassed for a period of years as I watched how badly this country was run, standing outside and hearing constantly that we couldn't get people to join our great forces. We ended the scourge of political correctness in our military. We renamed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Think of it. We won World War I. We won everything. World War II. And everything before, during, and a little bit after, except we fought a little bit differently. We fought to be politically correct. We were a politically correct force with the presidents. But now we have a real force, and you see that with what we did in Iran with the B-2 bombers. A lot of you were involved in that. And what we did recently in Venezuela, nobody ever saw anything like that happen. A Venezuelan general who was on the site, but he moved out fast enough that he lived. Because most of them didn't, but he was on the site. He said, we were totally prepared. We saw the planes coming. We saw everything coming. They're a good, strong force. And he said, we got hit like nobody's. They were hit from 17 different directions. They said, there's never been anything like that. It was over in like literally a minute. Everybody was running for the hills. And that's what we have. We have the strongest military in the world by far. We have the best equipment. We have the greatest people, soldiers. We brought back merit as the sole consideration for advancement and promotion in our military. We won the Supreme Court case, shockingly in that case. It took courage to come up with that decision. It's based on merit. Now you want to get into a college, it's based on merit. It's not based on anything else. You want to get into the military, you got to have a little muscle. You got to be strong, like these people. It's like you're like central casting. I'm looking at all these beautiful looking people, but you have to be a certain type to do well. And we were taking anybody that wanted to get in because we wanted to be politically correct. No, it's based on merit now. You get into the military based on merit. And other places also based on merit. There might be advantages to other people in other fields. But this is all based on merit. As long as I'm president, we will be the best led, the best trained, the best equipped, the most disciplined, and the most elite fighting force the world has ever seen. That's what we've turned out to be, and everybody knows it. They all know it. Every country knows it. I speak to all of them. They know exactly what they would be up against. Hopefully we'll never have to test them. And because of our strength and because of what we do, we probably won't have to be tested. That's why this year we're investing also $1 trillion in our armed forces, most we've ever spent. And next year it's being raised. In fact, we're going to be building a number of battleships. You ever hear of battleship? World War II, you saw those big ships, the Iowa, the Alabama, the Missouri, they're going there, sailing through that water like it's nothing. Those big waves are crashing into the front. The hulls are made of 7 inches of steel, not aluminum. Aluminum's fine, by the way. I don't want to hurt the industry. We're doing very well. But I'll take steel. And it's going through those waves like it's a hot knife through butter, right? And it was incredible. It was a great thing. It was a great act of beauty when you looked at the scenes. Victory at Sea. I don't know. Has anyone ever seen Victory at Sea? Probably the ones that have would have joined the armed forces when you have Victory at Sea. And you looked at those battleships. So now we're building 10 of them, initial order 10. And I said, what about reinstating the old ships? We have some of them in dry dock. Some of them are museums right now, like the Iowas and Rancho Palos Verdes in California. You have a couple of them, and they're still very powerful looking to me. So I said, what about bringing them back? They said, sir, it'd be no good. Why do you say that? The new battleship that we have, which I've seen and helped design, I put a little more spirit in the hull, a little more, give me a little bit more hull. And I want that ship to look gorgeous, you know. Forget about stealth. They say, oh, it's stealth. They design ugly equipment for stealth. Well, we're designing great looking equipment, also stealth. But I said, well, what about bringing back, sir, the new ships, the new battleships that we have almost very soon under construction will be, listen to this, 100 times more powerful than the ships that we got to see in the 1940s. Think of that, 100 times more powerful. We need that. This way nobody messes with us, right? We need it. For every service member in our military, this historic investment also includes a well-deserved across-the-board pay raise, not including 1776. And at my request just before Christmas, we did the, and really in honor of the 250th anniversary, we did that little special payment, which everybody appreciated, and it was an honor for me to do it. As part of the one big beautiful bill that we got approved, which was amazing because it really encompasses all 4 years of the term. We'll also be investing over $1 billion to improve on-base housing, and a lot more than that at Fort Bragg. We're going to be doing, if we get the congressman's wish, we're going to be doing a lot more than that. We're also going to spend billions of dollars on improving here and around the area. We're going to make it great because the people in this area have been so incredible. The spirit they had when they changed the name of this base, the spirit, not even military people, they were so proud of that name, Bragg. They said, we have to bring it back and keep the area safe. It's a great area. In fact, I'm thinking about moving here someday. Maybe I'll move here with our great movie star. I'll move here with our first lady. We'll move to Fort Bragg. Would you like that, darling? She loves you. It's a possibility. Actually, it's not a bad idea because we love it. But we want to keep this area safe, and we can't do that without the leaders. And your ex-governor is not one of them. It would be a disaster if he got in. And one of the things that I just mentioned and saw, you saw the monster that killed an innocent young Ukrainian girl a couple of months ago, slitting her throat from behind. And this was the man, the governor, that allowed this man to get out and to do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. Everybody knew he was trouble. Many, many crimes. One of the worst pasts I've ever seen. And she sat down. She had her throat slit.
Thank you so much.
And that's not going to happen with Michael Watley, that I can tell you. So I just want to tell you it's very important because our military has to be protected. Our people have to be protected. And they will decimate our military. Every time you come in as a Republican, a lot of Republicans, they come in, they don't do anything about it. I do beyond what anyone's ever done, not even close. To give you all of the equipment you need, we're also purchasing 30 new and modified Abrams tanks. Still the best tank, right? Still? It was named in honor of Stacey Abrams.
Thank you so much.
Only a few very political people would understand it. Congratulations. Thank you very much for a great name, Stacey. But brand new Abrams tanks, 48 new Black Hawk, Chinook, and King Stallion helicopters, the best in the world, the latest equipment, and 86 armored multi-purpose fighting vehicles, all of the things that you've been wanting to get, all brand new. And not only we're going to be reviving our strength, we're going to be doing many other things that nobody thought was even possible. We're actually using that strength to defend the core and vital interests of the United States. And very simply put, America first. You know, it's all about America first. We were putting America last. These people that were running our country were putting us last. We're now America first. And we'll help other countries. We have a very good relationship with NATO, but NATO took advantage of us for many years. We were paying for almost 100% of NATO. Now they're paying their own. I got them to pay. We took them from not paying 2% GDP to paying in full 5% GDP. Big difference, like day and night. With the help of our military, we stopped the invasion on our southern border for 9 straight months. 0 illegal aliens have been admitted into the United States, and that's done by the radical left. Those charts are made up by the radical left, so I can't imagine that they could be wrong, because it seems hard to believe we could have had 0. My friends, these are early supporters. I have so many supporters up here. How the hell did you get into the military base? It's amazing. I'm a little worried about that. Let's check security. But no, I have so many. You know, I have women from North Carolina. It's about 50 or 60 of them. And they followed me all over the
It doesn't look orange
place.
today.
Where are they? They got to be here. Because, yeah, there they are. They're great. Oh, there they are. There are sometimes 50. And I don't know what the hell's going on with their husband, because they're, you know, traveling to California. They're all over the place. But they've gone to almost 200 rallies. And it's so great. It's so great. We have Susie Wiles here also, who's the first female chief of staff, and she's done a fantastic job, and she's standing right next to those great patriots from North Carolina. No, they would go all over. It didn't matter where I was. Sometimes I'd see them, like, I made a speech in London. They ended up being, they must be pretty wealthy. That's all I know, because they do a lot of traveling. But thank you very much for being here and for your support for years, because they were there right at the beginning, 2015, even 2015, before we started. Some of them were there before I even announced. They said, he'll be a good president. We need a good president.
Really good.
But they're amazing patriots. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And last summer, I ordered devastating strikes on Iran's key nuclear facilities, and something that was called Operation Midnight Hammer. That's exactly what it was. 1 o'clock in the morning at midnight with no moon. You couldn't see a thing. And I got the message, sir, they have entered Iranian airspace. And I got to see it all take place. It was amazing. The B-2s, the flying wing. And I didn't understand the B-2s until then, but now I understand it very well. So does he. We just ordered a lot more. The super duper new model, right? But they flew in. They were totally undetected. And those pilots, I met the pilots. I had them down to the White House, the Oval Office. I gave them all medals, actually. And I said, did you really like doing this stuff? You know, they're flying into very hostile territory. And they said, sir, we couldn't wait. In fact, they wanted to wait. You saw what was happening. People wanted to wait. And the pilots and their commander called me and said, sir, we're ready to go. Don't worry about that. That weather's nothing. We want to go, sir. We want to go. Now, if it were me, I'd say, take it easy. Let's relax. But, you know, you people have a lot of courage. Amazing, amazing. So we gave them medals. But that was Operation Midnight Hammer, achieving total obliteration of the Iran nuclear potential capability, totally obliterated. And think every single one of those 100,000-pound bombs hit its target, which happens to be an air shaft that goes directly into the facility. I don't think they'll be building air shafts anymore. That's not a good concept. They want to get a little air. They wanted to get a little fresh air. It didn't work out too well. No other country on earth could have done what we did. No other country has the weapons. No other country has the skill. No other country has the guts. And no other country has the extraordinary warriors that we have. We have the best warriors in the world. Because you can have the greatest equipment, but if you don't have the warriors, the equipment doesn't mean much. Last month, we proved this truth once again when some of our greatest soldiers right here to ever live, frankly, successfully captured the outlaw dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and brought him back to face American justice, where he's now, right now, waiting. And that was an amazing night. People saw that. They've never seen anything like it. You know, it's a pretty military country. It was a big base, one of the biggest bases in South America, where he lived. And it was in a matter of minutes before he was on a helicopter being taken out of there. They had to go through steel doors. The steels were like, it was like paper mache. You know what paper mache is? It's weak paper. These guys blasted through every door. They got up to him before he got to the big safe, but that wouldn't have worked either because they had equipment that was going to knock that out in a matter of minutes. But he never got there. It went so fast. Think of it, in a matter of minutes, when people realize what happened, they're looking up and there's the helicopter heading back to aircraft carriers. So that night, the entire world saw what the full military might, the U.S. military is capable of. That was a unbelievable operation, but that was a smaller operation. But it was so precise, so incredible. Nobody thought a thing like that could happen. They even talk about the discombobulator because they never got a shot off. The Russian equipment didn't work. The Chinese equipment didn't work. Everyone's trying to figure out why it didn't work. Someday you're going to find out. But it didn't work. It's nice when you can fly in and not get shot at. Although we did have 3 helicopter pilots who were wounded pretty badly in the legs, landing, and a couple of machine gunners seemed to have made it through a thicket of bombs, but they were taken out rapidly by our snipers who were stationed on platforms, actually unbelievable helicopter platforms all the way the line. And they were taken out immediately. And those pilots were incredible and really brave. I may see some of them very shortly. They were hit pretty bad in the legs. You know, they're landing a big chopper and they're being shot at from close range by a machine gun. So it's not a comfortable feeling. They landed it perfectly and they got out of there perfectly. And they're just brave guys and very talented, skilled people. With your help, America is winning again. America is respected again. And perhaps most importantly, we are feared by the enemies all over the globe. They fear us. And, you know, I don't like to say fear, but sometimes you have to have fear because that's the only thing that really will get the situation taken care of. We have a situation right now where we sent a very big carrier group to Iran. I'd love to see if we could make a deal. They've been difficult to make a deal. I thought we would have had a deal last time. They wish they did. And that's what we did, Midnight Hammer. But with the restored strength and the tremendous power that we've now built up over the last number of years, even though there was an interlude with Biden, who is the worst president in the history of our country. But the interlude, fortunately, was ended quickly, and we started the process again and built upon what we had already done the first 4 years. But we're also bringing peace all over the world. I ended 8 wars in just 10 months. 8 wars are ended. And we have a couple of more to go, but one in particular, Russia, Ukraine. It's a mess. It's a horrible thing. And I think we'll get there. It takes 2 to tango. You have to remember that. And we have to get there. Tremendous casualties, number of casualties. There's a war that if we were involved in that war, it would have been over very quickly and effectively, but we're not, fortunately. In fact, we're not spending any money. We are spending and sending weapons to NATO. And because of the increase from 2% to 5% of GDP that the NATO countries are paying, they pay us full for the weapons. And then they distribute the weapons to mostly, I guess, Ukraine, but that's up to them. They buy them. And we do make the greatest weapons of any country in the world by far, most effective weapons. So my message to all of the warriors here today is that your commander-in-chief supports you totally. I support you more than... I know you've had a couple of good ones, not that many if you want to know the truth, but we support you more than any of them. And you're going to get out, and when needed, you're going to fight. You're going to win. And we're going to continue to make our country bigger and better and stronger than ever before. And that's exactly where we're now. We are the most respected country anywhere in the world. And I say it, the King of Saudi Arabia told me when I was there, he spent $2 trillion. We have $18 trillion being invested right now in our country from other companies and countries all over the world. The most any country's ever had is $3 trillion. That was a long time ago, and it didn't happen to be us. It was another country. It starts with a C. Can you imagine what I'm talking about? China. We have $18 trillion being invested. As an example, in the Biden 4 years, they had less than $1 trillion. Think of this, less than $1 trillion over 4 years. We have $18 trillion in 11 months because we haven't gotten the final numbers on the 12th month, so that's only going to go up. There's never been anything like it. But the King of Saudi Arabia looked at me and says, you know, a year and a half ago, I thought the United States of America was finished. I thought it was dead. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and you're a very, very big part of it. Thank you to the Army. Thank you to everybody here. To our great politicians. They're great leaders, and they love you as much as I do. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Hey, you guys, since it's President's Day, I thought that this would be great to hear from our Commander-in-Chief. I don't know about you guys, but it just makes me excited to hear what he's doing for our country, okay? So please be respectful in the chat. Just be respectful, okay?
Thank you.
I think it's here.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
This is a big one. If you're into environment, this is about as big as it gets, they tell me. And it's an honor to be here with a terrific person who's worked so hard on this and some other terrific people. Thank you very much. But I'm pleased to be joined today by EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, who you all know, and to announce the single largest deregulatory action in American history. That's a big statement in American history. And I think we can add the words by far. Under the process just completed by the EPA, we are officially terminating the so-called endangerment finding, a disastrous Obama-era policy that severely damaged the American auto industry and massively drove up prices for American consumers. Prices went up incredibly for a worse product. This action will eliminate over $1.3 trillion of regulatory costs and help bring car prices tumbling down dramatically.
Sebastian, the
You're
last
going to get a
one
better
was
car.
yesterday.
You're going to get a car that starts easier, a car that works better for a lot less money. In 2009, Barack Hussein Obama, his EPA designated fossil fuels such as oil, gas, and other things that actually make factories rock and roll and other things drive very nicely as a threat to health and human welfare, known as the endangerment finding. This determination had no basis, in fact, had none whatsoever, and it had no basis in law. On the contrary, over the generations, fossil fuels have saved millions of lives and lifted billions of people out of poverty and all over the world. And you see it with the blackouts all over where they don't use it, where they went to wind, intermittent wind, which is weak and ineffective and very, very costly, most costly energy there is. And people are dying because there was no air conditioning or there was no heating. Lots of other things, bad things happen. And yet this radical rule became the legal foundation for the Green New Scam, one of the greatest scams in history, probably as great, maybe even greater than Russia hoax, etc., which the Obama and Biden administration used to destroy countless jobs. And the jobs have been just decimated. Although they're all coming back because of tariffs, they're all coming back into our country at levels we've never seen before. But it raised prices and caused immense harm to the U.S. auto industry. We thought irreparable, but we've got them back. We're coming back now. I was in Detroit, as you know, with Ford, and they had one of the earliest plants from the early 1900s, and it was going to be closed down. And then when I won, they said, let's keep it open for a little while. Let's see what happens. And they just announced, as you know, they're going 24 hours around the clock with that same plant that was going to be closed because of what we've done. For example, under the endangerment finding, they forced the hated start-stop feature onto American consumers, which unnecessarily shuts off a car's engine when you stop at a red light. In other words, the engine goes off. That's great. The endangerment finding was also used to impose the massive and really very expensive electric vehicle mandate, expensive in the sense that nobody wanted it. Everybody was going to be forced to buy an electric car in a very short period of time, even though you can't power the car because we would have had to spend $5 trillion on power stations. That's all dead, gone, over. These crippling restrictions were a major factor in driving up car prices to unprecedented levels, and the car that you were getting was not nearly as good. In 4 years under the Biden administration, the price of a new and used car rose more than 22%, all to facilitate the Green New Scam without achieving any meaningful impact on the environment, but making the car worse. That's why, effective immediately, we're repealing the ridiculous endangerment finding and terminating all additional green emission standards imposed unnecessarily on vehicle models and engines between 2012 and 2027 and beyond. This action will save American consumers trillions of dollars and will lower the average cost of a new vehicle by close to $3,000. Think of that. During my campaign, I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every new regulation. And we've exceeded that. We've instead done it 10 regulations. We were able to cut 129. So now we cut 129. So think of that. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every new one, but we did more than 10. We did 129. It's something, nobody can even believe it. So we did a lot of regulation cutting in the first administration, a record, nobody even close to it now. We're actually exceeding it in this administration. The biggest one yet that we've done is happening right now. So perhaps no industry has benefited more from our historic deregulation campaign than the U.S. auto industry. We canceled the EPA's absurd, just totally absurd, tailpipe emission standards, which was a disaster for automobile manufacturing, and revoked Biden's emissions waiver that would have allowed California to regulate automobiles for the entire nation. And they're crazy out in California. They have nothing but trouble out there, as you know. That's why people are leaving in record numbers. They also ended Joe Biden's extreme CAFE emission standards, saving the average American consumer much more than $1,000 when they buy a new car. But now we're talking about close to $3,000. These regulation cuts, combined with our tax cuts and tariffs, are the reason why the world's largest automakers have announced that they're going to be spending in excess of $100 billion in the United States in the next very short period of time, building new auto plants. We're bringing our auto plants, assembly plants, and factories roaring back to life, not even mentioning AI and all of the other things. We're building thousands of businesses in the United States. And if you remember, on my first day, they said if I could ever get the Dow up to 50,000 in my last year, in other words, in the fourth year, that would be an unbelievable miracle. But don't worry about it, because it'll never happen, they said. And if I could get the S&P up to 7,000, they said in the fourth year, they said it will never happen. Well, let's not even talk about it. Let's not even waste our time talking about it. Well, at the very end of my first year, the Dow hit 50,000. Now it's over 50,000. And 3 days before that, the S&P hit 7,000. So we didn't have to wait till the end of the fourth year. We just waited till the end of the first year. We've never had a country in a position like this, and a lot of it's due to tariffs, and a lot of it's due to the fact that we had a great election, and a lot of good things have been done. One of the good things I did was put Lee Zeldin in charge of our environment. So I'm going to ask Lee to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President. This is a big deal. Under President Trump's leadership today, the Trump EPA has finalized the single largest act of deregulation in the history of the United States of America. Referred to by some as the holy grail of federal regulatory overreach, the 2009 Obama EPA endangerment finding is now eliminated. This action will save American taxpayers over $1.3 trillion. What that means is lower prices, more choices, and an end of heavy-handed climate policies. With today's announcement, American families will save over $2,400 for a new vehicle. 16 years ago, an ideological crusade within the Obama administration set off the most costly regulatory power grab our country has ever experienced. The 2009 Obama EPA endangerment finding led to trillions of dollars in regulations that strangled entire sectors of the United States economy, including the American auto industry. It claimed new powers over the vehicles we drive, even though the best reading of the Clean Air Act clearly states otherwise. The Obama and Biden administrations used it to steamroll into existence a left-wing wish list of costly climate policies, electric vehicle mandates, and other requirements that assaulted consumer choice and affordability. And who paid the biggest price? Hardworking families, small businesses, millions of Americans who just want a reliable, affordable car to get to work, take their kids to school, or go to church on Sunday. The endangerment finding and the regulations that were based on it didn't just regulate emissions. It regulated and targeted the American dream. And now the endangerment finding is hereby eliminated, as well as all greenhouse gas emission standards that followed. The red tape has been cut. Manufacturers will no longer be burdened by measuring, compiling, or reporting greenhouse gas emissions for vehicles and engines. And the forced transition to electric vehicles is eliminated. No longer will automakers be pressured to shift their fleets towards electric vehicles, vehicles that are still sitting unsold on dealer lots all across America. And as a cherry on top, we are ending the federal government's push to get manufacturers to install that Obama switch, the almost universally despised start-stop feature. There will be no more climate participation trophies awarded to manufacturers for making Americans' cars die at every red light and stop sign. It's over, done, finished. Under President Trump's leadership, vehicle manufacturers can once again build what Americans want, not what politicians and bureaucrats in Washington demand. President Trump campaigned on reviving the auto industry, and he continues to deliver win after win after win, ending electric vehicle mandates, getting rid of the Biden cafe standards with Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy, and securing massive new U.S. manufacturing investments and all the jobs that come with it.
These
Affordable cars mean opportunity.
are designed to bring us
That
together.
means jobs, healthcare, education, and mobility, especially for working families and rural Americans who rely on their vehicles every single day. And this isn't just about making the American economy boom. It's also about restoring the rule of law, a fundamental principle of our great republic. For years, unelected bureaucrats twisted the Clean Air Act into something it was never meant to be. The Obama administration twisted itself into some kind of mental pretzel to invoke authority it didn't have and to sidestep Congress. They claimed that 6 greenhouse gas emissions from vehicles, some of which aren't even emitted from vehicles and trucks, contribute some amount above zero to global climate change, what they said endangered public health. But their wild web of mental leaps isn't prescribed in federal statute. The Obama EPA's House of Cards upended the best reading of the Clean Air Act, as well as 50 years of EPA precedent on what constitutes regulable air pollution. In the 16 years that intervened, the Supreme Court has established clear precedent in Loper Bright Enterprises and West Virginia versus EPA. And in light of these Supreme Court decisions and other developments, upon his swearing in last year, President Trump immediately tasked on day one, submitting requirements, recommendations, research on the legality and continued applicability of the 2009 endangerment finding. And at Trump's speed, he wanted that research and recommendation turned around instantly. We looked at the Clean Air Act. We looked at what the highest court in the land had said, and we used a very simple metric. If Congress didn't authorize it, EPA shouldn't be doing it.
Hi.
Congress never voted for these climate mandates inside of Section 202 of the Clean Air Act. If Congress wants EPA to regulate the heck out of greenhouse gases emitted from motor vehicles, then Congress can clearly make that the law, which they haven't done for good reason. Today, we dismantle the tactics and legal gymnastics used by the Obama and Biden administrations to backdoor their ideological agendas on the American people. Following the plain language of the law, we have now realigned EPA's rulemaking to reflect the Clean Air Act exactly as it is written and as Congress intended, not as others might wish it to be. Where our predecessors focused on trying to make and please a few fear-mongering climate alarmists, the Trump EPA is making decisions to benefit all Americans based on common sense and reality. And the American people are tired of paying the price of political games. Last November, they voted for an administration that would listen to them. They told us that the price of a newer, safer vehicle was too high. They told us they didn't want cars that shut off at every red light. They told us dealers were sitting on lots filled with electric vehicles that nobody wanted or were buying. The Trump EPA listened. We heard you and we acted. And today's action does not change regulations on traditional air pollutants and air toxics. This EPA is committed to providing clean air for all Americans. Powering the great American comeback is based on a singular focus of providing clean air, land, and water for all Americans while harnessing the greatness of the American economy. That's a big difference from our predecessor. We believe that we can and must choose both. If you want an electric vehicle, buy one. If you want a diesel truck, then buy that. If you want a gas-powered vehicle or a hybrid, well, more power to you. That's what freedom and choice look like. We're restoring the rule of law, we're grounding policy in reality, we're giving power back to the American people. And we're bringing back the American dream stronger than ever before. EPA will never waver on its core mission of protecting human health and the environment, and this administration knows we can do that while ushering in the golden age of America. To recap, the 2009 Obama EPA endangerment finding and all greenhouse gas emission standards on light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles that followed is eliminated. American families now will save over $2,400 for a new vehicle. Today, the single largest act of deregulation in the history of the United States, over $1.3 trillion, the elimination of the endangerment finding is signed, sealed, and delivered.
That was long, but good. It was good. Maybe I should say great. It was great, and we appreciate it. Would you have anything to say, Russ? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Literally no other president would have done this to get at the foundations of the Green New Deal. So tremendously excited that we are where we are today. Great work by Lee. I'm a little worried that this next year will be EPA alone will be dereg east by the number of things that are going to come out of EPA. So great work to the team. $1.3 trillion in savings. Massive historical opportunity. Thank you.
Worthy of it. Thank you, Mr. President. Today is a historic day led by President Trump's leadership. No other president, as Russ said, would have undertaken this and at the speed we did. It was a great team effort. This is the model of the Trump administration. Everyone working together, mission aligned.
And Lee is also working on cleaning up the horrible situation with regard to farm equipment. You could use John Deere as an example and other companies where tractors are unbelievably expensive and don't work as well because of all of the environmental nonsense that was put on them. Also excavators, any equipment like that, bulldozers, Caterpillar tractor would be a beneficiary, I guess, but the people are going to be a beneficiary because the equipment is going to be a lot less expensive, and it's going to also, most importantly, it's going to work much better. So we're working on that immediately as we speak. We'll probably make it so that any of that equipment built in the United States will not have to go through this. If it's built outside, they will probably leave the standard the same. The people are going to send us equipment, let them have that standard for whatever it's worth, which is not much. And I think that's a very big announcement too. And we're going to see if we can get that done very quickly so that all of that equipment that we have made, including lawnmowers, etc., you won't have to go to the finest schools in the world in order to figure out how to operate it. Okay? So, any questions, please?
Thank you for this. And after this much supported move to roll back the former EPA's endangerment finding, what additional steps do you plan on taking to scale back what many are calling climate industry scams? Specifically, and Secretary Selden knows about these wind turbines they're trying to bring to New York. Judges allowing them to be rebuilt right near your hometown, which means they're being called a national security threat for air traffic coming into the airport. What can you do to make sure these things?
Well, we're trying to make sure it doesn't happen, and we've basically stopped all windmills in this country. It's the most expensive energy you can get. They're all made in China, a little bit in Germany, but mostly in China. And we're putting them all over our fields and ruining the fields and killing the birds and all of this. And the environmentalists say they like them, but they really are a tremendous eyesore. Ruined. Europe has gone, as you know, it's gone to it. Europe isn't even recognizable anymore between immigration and because of, you know, environmental things like the windmills, which are taking over. The people hate them. The energy is by far the most expensive. And we're fighting very hard to make sure that they don't get built. I hope we don't have one built during my administration. We inherited some.
Okay. That was a lot. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. What are you guys saying in the chat? I need a break. Oh, thank you, Claude. Let me see if I can fix my sound really quickly because I hear you guys. See, yeah, I know there's a lot in the background. Dr. Manhattan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You guys know I've been having technical difficulties. I'm sorry. Let me try to fix it real quick because I have two screens going. I'm so sorry. There we go.
Contracts where they've gone down the line a little bit. We're trying to terminate them for a lot of different reasons. One of the reasons, as you had mentioned, it's endangerment for the military. It's also endangerment for airliners. So we're trying to take care of those situations now. They should have never been allowed in the first place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, thank you so much for taking
Sure.
questions. What do you tell Americans who are concerned that the $1.3 trillion in savings does come at a cost to public health and the environment based on science?
I tell them, don't worry about it because it has nothing to do with public health. This was all a scam, a giant scam. This was a ripoff of the country by Obama and Biden. And let's say Obama started it and got it rolling. And a terrible ripoff. They'll have more money to spend for healthcare. If you look at it, now they can go out and spend it on something that's meaningful. And nobody's doing more for healthcare than the Republican Party. And that starts with the fact that prescription drugs are going to be coming down at numbers that nobody's ever seen before. They're falling. You know, we were paying the highest prices in the world by far, sometimes by 10 times more than other countries. Now we're going to be paying whatever the lowest price is anywhere in the world. We're going to be paying that. It's called favored nations, most favored nations. And I think it's the biggest thing to happen in this world, the world of medicine, prescription drugs ever. There's never been anything like it. You know, if like in my third year, first term, I actually got prices down 1/4 or 1/8%. And I was so proud of myself because they were like that for years and years. And since under Biden, they went up very, very substantially. And now they're coming down by, depending on, you could say 500, 600, 700%, depending on the way you want to, or you could say 80%. It doesn't matter. They're coming down by numbers that nobody ever thought possible. I got it all done and I got it all approved. And all of the countries all over the world are going to pay more. They've agreed to pay more because of tariffs. I said, if you don't do it, we're going to have to tariff you. And they've all agreed to do it. Otherwise, they would have never done it. That was why no president has ever been able to get it done. Please.
Mr. President, you took more than 600 deregulatory actions in your first year here. Coming from the business world, you know how unnecessary red tape can hinder business expansion, investment expansion. Given the magnitude of this announcement here today and the deregulatory action you took in your first year, how much economic growth can we expect to see as a return of progressive?
It's a great question. I think that it'll be enormous. Who knows really what the number is, but I can tell you in terms of economic growth, we have $18 trillion being invested in this country right now, the most ever of any country by far, not even close. Think of it, no matter where, not just here. $18 trillion is coming in, and that money is being spent right now as we speak in new plants and equipments. And you may have heard Lee mention, I mentioned also, that over $100 billion is going to be spent in this very short period of time just by foreign auto companies on building auto plants in the United States. Some of the greatest thing that ever happened to the United Auto Workers. You know, the head man was not been nice to me, but now I understand he's saying this is the greatest auto president in history. But the auto workers gave me their vote, and they knew what I was doing, and they know what needed to be done. The tariffs saved them, but this is now taken it to a level that I think, Lee, that nobody ever thought even possible. They thought this was, nobody would have the courage to do it. We have to have the courage to do it because we're making America great again. This is a big factor in making our country great. If you look at some of these cars, they didn't even work. They had computers all over the place trying to save a half an ounce of fuel. We have fuel for the next 500 to 1,000 years under our feet, and they're trying like hell to save a half an ounce of fuel. The whole thing is just crazy. Please, go ahead, please.
Mr. President, is climate cooperation with China no longer in America's interest? And could you please confirm that you are going to visit China the first week of April?
Yeah, I'll be visiting President Xi in April. Look forward to it. He's coming here later in the year, and I look very much forward to it. No, our relationship with China is very good right now, and this is, not relevant too much having to do with China, what we're announcing today. But no, my relationship with President Xi is very good. Yes.
President, following your meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday, has your thinking changed at all as it relates to these negotiations with Iran?
No, we have to make a deal.
With Iran?
We have to make a deal. Otherwise, it's going to be very traumatic. Very traumatic. I don't want that to happen, but we have to make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time, and they got Midnight Hammer instead. And this will be very traumatic for Iran if they don't make a deal. Look, if they don't make a deal, then it'll be a different story. But we had a very good meeting yesterday with Bibi Netanyahu, and he understands. But it's ultimately up to me. If the deal isn't a very fair deal and a very good deal with Iran, then it's going to be, I think, a very difficult time for them in the back. I guess over the next month, something like that. Yeah, it shouldn't take, it should happen quickly. They should agree very quickly. Yeah.
We might be heading into a partial government shutdown. When was the last time you spoke with Chuck Schumer? And do you still feel Democrats are negotiating in good faith?
Well, a week ago I spoke, but we have to protect our law enforcement. Actually, the Supreme Court gave a ruling, or one of the courts gave a very big ruling on masks, that you have the right to use them, for personal protection if you want. So I don't know how that interjects. They want our law enforcement to be totally vulnerable and put them in a lot of danger. They have some things that are really very, very hard to approve, frankly. As you know, it's only pretend. We had various of the other bills, that's all done, but we're left with this one. We have to protect our law enforcement, very important. Please.
Why does Prime Minister Netanyahu want you to stop negotiating with Iran?
He is, you're saying stop entertaining, stop talking to them? Didn't say that, we didn't discuss that. I'll talk to them as long as I like, and we'll see if we can get a deal with them. And if we can't, we'll have to go to phase two. Phase two will be very tough for them. I'm not looking for that.
Mr. President, there are currently 0 Israeli hostages left in Gaza because of you. Thank you for that. And now that the war is ending in Gaza and Israel, I wanted to ask, do you believe Bibi bears any responsibility for the security failures that we saw on October 7th?
Well, October 7th was a rough time, and I guess everybody's responsible. It's yet to look, but it was a terrible attack. It was a sneak attack. It was as violent as unfortunately, I've seen some of the results at levels that probably even you, good reporter, but probably you haven't seen. It was a horrible thing that took place. People were surprised. It was a surprise attack. Nobody saw that coming. He didn't see it coming. Nobody else would have seen it coming if they were in his position, I don't believe. But I can tell you he's been a very good wartime prime minister. He's been very strong. We've worked with him very well. We had tremendous success with Iran and everything else we've done. And he really has been. He's been, extraordinary as far as a wartime prime minister. Not easy. And, you have a president that refuses to give him a pardon. I think that man should be ashamed of himself. A pardon over this trial that's going on. The president of Israel, the primary power he's got is the power to give pardons. And he's not, he said he's given it 5 different times, but he doesn't want to do it because I guess he loses his power. I think the people of Israel should really shame him. He's disgraceful for not giving it. He should give it. But Bibi's been a great wartime prime minister, and I've been the best friend to Israel I think that they've ever had. A lot of people say beyond presidents that they've ever had, and we will continue to be. Yes, ma'am.
On the SAVE Act, Mr. President, voter ID polls very well nationally. Even the majority of Democrat voters want it.
Right.
So why do you think Senate Democrats are resisting the SAVE Act? And what is your strategy and realistic pathway to getting the SAVE Act passed to ensure free and fair elections for the next generation?
It's such a great question. I appreciate it, actually, because it's called the Save America Act. We've changed the name. It's the Save America Act, and the Democrats are against it. I heard one of them say, we will stop the Save America Act. No, we're trying to save America. And it has to do with largely voting. And basically, it's got 3 very simple points. It's got voter ID, photo ID, but voter ID with a photo, right? It's got the confirmation of U.S. citizenship. You have to be a citizen. So you have a vote, you have an ID. That's about a 99% one. And I think 90% with Democrats. Then you have confirmation U.S. citizenship. That's about a 99% one with Republicans, about 86% with Democrats, except Democrat politicians because they cheat on elections. And then you have no mail-in ballots. And it would be no mail-in ballots, very important. We're the only country in the world that does a system like we do. We're the only country in the world that has mail-in ballots. The way we do this is unbelievable. It guarantees cheating. So it's no mail-in ballots with the exception of disability, illness, military, or if you're traveling, you can get an exemption. If you happen to be out of the country for a good reason, you can have an exemption. So with exceptions, it's no mail-in ballots, and that will assure the security of our crooked elections. We have crooked elections, yeah.
Mr. President, have you fired or disciplined that staffer who posted the video from your account that included the Obamas?
No, I haven't. That was a video on, as you know, voter fraud, and fairly long video, and they had a little piece and had to do with the Lion King. It's been very well, it's been shown all over the place long before that was posted. But that was a very strong, and I'm sure you saw it, a very strong piece on voter fraud. And the piece that you're talking about was all over the place many times, I believe for years. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, were you aware that Secretary of Commerce visited Epstein's island, and do you continue to have?
No, I wasn't aware of it. No, I didn't. I actually haven't spoken to him about it. I wasn't. But from what I hear, he was there with his wife and children. And I guess in some cases, some people were. I wasn't. I was never there. Somebody will someday say that. I was never there. Yeah, please.
This announcement that you made today, Mr. President, comes on the heels of the January jobs report that smashed industry expectations.
Smashed all records.
In the big feature of that was you reprivatized the economy that was bloated with federal employment under the previous president. What's your message to Americans following this jobs report that smashed industry expectations? Is this just a sign that the best is yet?
Thank you. The jobs report's amazing in certain ways because we have tremendously fewer federal employees, way down. And now I could have left them and added to what we did, and we would have had almost 100% employment. I could have gotten a great kick out of the fact that we're 100% employed, but we got rid of tremendous numbers of federal workers, and they hated me for it. Now they love me because most of them have gotten jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times more money than they were being paid by the federal government. We had some jobs where you had 10 workers for one job, 10 workers for a job that one person should be doing. And we've gotten rid of a lot of those jobs. And by getting rid of them, these people became available to work in the private sector. And as you know, the numbers are incredible. So the job numbers are incredible. The financial numbers are beyond belief. Again, they thought it couldn't be done in 4 years, and I did it in 1 year. And the numbers you're going to see is these, I don't know if you notice also construction numbers, the jobs for construction workers. You know why? Because they're building plants all over the United States. That's why. And when these plants open in a year from now, some sooner, some a little bit later, but when these auto plants, AI plants, and thousands of other types of plants, when they open over the next period of a year, year and a half, you're going to see numbers like we've never seen before in this country. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Clean, beautiful call. Clean, beautiful call. We love clean, beautiful call, don't we, Doug? Huh? I'm thrilled to welcome to the White House the men and women who light our cities. And, you know, you do things that people don't even understand. There's so much. You do so much. You heat our homes, fuel our factories, and turn natural resources into American riches and dreams. Our amazing coal miners. Thank you very much, fellas. That's great. And I know you well. I know you well. I think I get about 97% of your vote. And you wouldn't want to do anything else. You wouldn't switch with a guy who had a beautiful penthouse apartment on Fifth Avenue. You wouldn't switch with that me. That was me. I had a nice, easy life. And now I decided to do this. But you know what? We just hit the highest price in the history of the stock market, 50,000. And a lot of people are getting rich with your 401ks and everything else. So our country is back. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world. So it's pretty cool, right? So I want to just tell you, I really appreciate you being here. You're special people. You got mistreated very badly for a long period of time. But you've never had a better friend in the Oval Office than me. And I'm proud to officially name the undisputed, when did this come out, Mr. Speaker? The undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal. We have to proceed. Always, I don't use the word coal. It needs a PR job because it had a bad reputation for a while. So we're not allowed to say the word coal anymore. It has to be preceded by beautiful, clean coal. Okay? We're cleaning it up. Very good. And we're delighted to be joined by Secretary Doug Burgum, who's done a fantastic job from the great coal mining state of North Dakota. And thanks as well to Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, a fantastic guy who's doing a great job. Thank you, Mike. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. He's our secret weapon. He's getting those approvals done in record-setting time. True. Great senators, John Barrasso and Jim Justice. Thank you very much for being here. Hi, Jim. Been a long time, Jim. You're looking good. Shelley Moore Capito. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you very much, Johnny. Marsha Blackburn, Bill Haggerty, Ted Budd, John Husted, Bernie Marino, and David McCormick, all here, great senators, every one of them, great senators, representatives of the House, Jim Baird, Troy Balderson, Andy Barr, Dave Taylor, Warren Davidson, Troy Downing, Morgan Griffith, Brett Guthrie, Harriet Hageman, Mike Kelly, Dan Muser, Scott Perry, Carol Miller, Dana Harshbarger, and Riley Moore. Boy, that's a good group of people. We have some others in here too, and I'm not going to say it's just too many. Don't get angry at me. I'll never get their vote again. It's very dangerous. I also want to thank the president of the Washington Coal Club, Michael Day, CEO of the National Mining Association, Richard Nolan, along with many of the greatest business leaders in this powerful industry and a great industry it is. But of course, the most important people here today are those who get their hands a little bit dirty to keep America running at full speed, our frontline coal workers. And I'm pleased to report that in the first year of my presidency, real wages for the typical miner increased by more than $2,200. I'd say that's pretty good, right? And I'll give you the bad news. It's the first time that that's happened in more than 27 years. All right? Those other presidents didn't take good care of you. They didn't take good care of you at all. They didn't realize what they had. The last time many of us were together, I signed a historic executive order to ensure that America's beautiful clean coal plants would keep running when we need it most, and that's 24 hours a day in rain, sleet, and snow. You know, coal can operate when other substances can't. The Biden administration, he had no clue what he was doing. Shut down dozens of coal plants. They shut them down. Literally, it seemed like one a week, one a day. They were shutting them down left and right as fast as you could. They were paying people to shut down a coal plant. And if we had stayed in the ruinous path, we would have seen mass suffering and rolling blackouts all over the country. We would have had blackouts right now all over the country. We would have had a country that, worse than blackouts, every other thing would have been wrong with it too, with all of the horrible things that took place at our border. And right now our border is 100% secure. First time in the history of our country, actually. And you see it all the time. So instead, when large parts of our country were hit with winter storms, it was coal that kept the power on. And it was coal that never was bothered by cold weather, warm weather. It's never bothered by anything. It just keeps on chugging, right? During this vicious storm, and they had some really bad ones, coal generation surged 31%, while solar and wind totally collapsed. I'm not a big fan of those crazy windmills that are all made in China. You know, they're made in China, but not used by China. Let's look for a couple of wind farms in China, see if you can find one. They sell us those things for fortunes, but we don't do them anymore. Have we done any this year, Doug? We're not going to do any, hopefully for 4 years in this country. They're losers. They lose. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money with energy. And they lose a lot of money. And by the way, they're all over Europe. And, you know, I was recently there, and it's not recognizable what they've done to their beautiful fields and those beautiful, beautiful scenic areas. And they put those wind turbines all over the place, and they're chugging, not doing a damn thing, except every time it goes around, it loses a fortune. It's horrible. They've lost their way. Not recognizable. And then I wonder why they don't like me over there. But you know who likes me over there? The people like me over there, I can tell you, because they know I'm right. More than 200 million Americans across 35 states were impacted by the storm. And the only reason most were able to take a hot shower was thanks to the power provided by the most reliable, dependable, and really dependable form of energy that we have, and that's clean, beautiful coal. Biden and the radical left wanted to abolish coal. They did everything they could, everything possible. But on day one of this administration, I ended the war on coal. We terminated the Green New Scam, and we withdrew from the unfair, one-sided Paris Climate Accord. That was another beauty we had. We paid $1 trillion. Nobody else had to pay 10 cents. Already, I've saved 74 coal power plants from crushing restrictions and closures that would have been forced to shut down in the very immediate future. And today, I'm proud to announce that the Tennessee Valley Authority is taking action to save 2 major coal plants in Tennessee. Tennessee Valley Authority.
The plants are the Cumberland Fossil Plant and the Cumberland City. It's in Cumberland City. It's a big, beautiful thing that they just wanted to shut down. You know, the Tennessee Valley Authority has gone in a very stupid, very bad direction. The head of it, it's considered sort of semi-private. It's supposed to be semi-public, but it's semi-private. It's the highest paid government type official in history. I think they pay them $10 million a year. They're paying them $10 million. I think the Speaker of the House wants to resign and head the Tennessee Valley Authority. And he could do a much better job, I can tell you that. Is that right, Doug? They pay him $10 million a year. Can you believe it? Well, Trump is on the scene now. We're going to make his life miserable. $10 million. I wonder what he got before he got that job. Probably making $150,000, right? And the Kingston fossil plant in Harriman, Tennessee. So they're going to remain open and they're going to be vibrant. They're going to be improved, built up, and continue to do all the things that they do. These two plants were slated for termination, but we're going to save over 450 jobs by keeping them going and going strong. In addition, I'm directing the Department of Energy to issue funds to coal plants in West Virginia, Ohio, North Carolina, and Kentucky to keep them online and keep those plants open. Right, Jim? And very importantly, we're also bringing our coal mines roaring back to life. Under 4 years of the Biden administration, Sleepy Joe, not a single permit was approved for a new coal mining project. Think of it. 4 years, not one permit. They were all being disapproved, actually. So not a single permit was approved. I didn't know that. But in 1 year of Trump, we've already approved over 70 permits for very big, very powerful mines that are going to be with us for many, many years to come. And we did that over the last 30 days. We did more than half of them because we have the system going now. It's a very reliable source, great source. If you look at some of the most prosperous places in the world, they run on coal. Since I took office, coal production is up by nearly 4 million tons a month after falling for decades. I mean, literally decades. Coal power generation is up by nearly 15% in my first year, and that number is going to be about 25 or 30% this coming year, at least. These pro-American energy policies are bringing energy prices way down. You see what's happening even with gasoline. I was in Iowa last week, and it was $1.85 a gallon. And many of them are $1.99 and $1.91. I saw we have them under $2 a gallon now. A little while ago, just a year and a half ago, they were at $3.50, $4, $4.50. In California, $7 because of its crazy taxes. Coal is one of the lowest price energy sources, and it's probably considered by almost everybody to be the most reliable. It requires no subsidies because you make money with coal. More coal means lower cost and more money in the pocket of the American citizens and in the pocket, frankly, of the United States of America. That's not bad. Every once in a while, we have to take care of our country, right? With us today is Caleb Blackford, who drives a haul truck at Bear Run Mine in Duggar, Indiana. Great state. We love Indiana. I only like states that are one so big, you know. I want to pick them. No, I like them all. Where she has worked for 5 years, and she's joined by her wonderful husband, Eric, who also works at the mine, and their really incredible son, Isaac. And Kayla, if you could come forward, I'd like to just have you say a few words, please. Come on up. Where's Kayla? Kayla, oh, hi, Kayla.
Thank you, Mr. President. As he said, my name is Caleb Blackford, and I am so proud and honored to be here today representing Peabody and coal miners across this country. My husband and I both work at Bear Run Mine in southern Indiana. I drive a haul truck, and I train others on this large piece of equipment. A haul truck is used to move rock or coal and is capable of carrying loads of nearly 250 tons. The tires are 12 feet tall. When I stand next to one, I barely reach the middle of the tire. It's the best job I've ever had, and not just because of the cool mom points I get for driving big equipment. My job supports my family, it supports our community, and it keeps the lights on and electricity affordable, not just in Indiana, but across the country. As demand increases and our lives become increasingly electrified, America needs to generate more electricity, not less. For years, coal miners have felt the weight of policies that made our future uncertain. Over the past year, that weight has begun to lift. My son, Isaac, who's here today, has friends whose parents also work at Bear Run. And when you grow up seeing huge mining equipment from the road, like Isaac and his friends do, you dream about the day when you get to run that equipment. When a mine closes, families don't just lose their jobs. They're often forced to leave their communities, their schools, and their support systems behind. The common sense policies to keep coal plants running implemented by this administration mean that my husband and I can keep working, stay where we are, and continue raising our son in our community that we call home. And the impact is even greater than that because you, Mr. President, have single-handedly kept utility prices affordable, the lights on, and our jobs alive. We are real people under these hard hats. On behalf of America's coal miners, thank you, Mr. President, for recognizing the value of coal and the value of the people who power this industry every day. Thank you so much. So nice to meet you. Thank you very much for all of the things. Sorry, I'll take that.
Good job. She did a good job, right? Look at the boy. He's so proud of mom, huh? Did a good job? Couldn't do better, right? Anyway, thank you, Kelly. That's really nice. Thank you very much. Coal is also critical to our national security, vital to everything from steel production to shipbuilding and artificial intelligence. It's incredible what's happening with coal. And it's also incredible how clean they're able to keep it now with all of the new techniques. By using it, they're able to do things environmentally that are amazing. You see that. That's why I'm also pleased to announce that in just a moment, I will sign an executive order that directs the Department of War to work directly with coal plants on the new power purchasing agreements, ensuring that we have more reliable power and stronger and more resilient grid power. And we're going to be buying a lot of coal through the military now, and it's going to be less expensive and actually much more effective than what we have been using for many, many years. And again, with the environmental progress that's been made on coal, it's going to be just as clean. As some of you may know today, February 11th is Thomas Edison's birthday. There could be no better way to honor the legacy of the man who lit the world. Did you know that? The man who lit the world, Isaac. Do you know that? You ever hear of Thomas Edison? A little before your time, slightly. But then to reaffirm our commitment to American energy independence and the American energy dominance. We're going to be dominant. We are dominant right now. We have a new group of people that we're very close to, become very close to, and that's called Venezuela, where we're taking in this case, oil. We had 50 million barrels of oil that we have floating right now to Houston to be refined, and we're getting energy from all different sources. And so oil and gas is fantastic. So many of them are so good, but we're not going to use the bad ones. America is now the #1 energy producer in the world. We are by far #1. In fact, we're very soon going to be #1 by double what #2 is. And under our leadership, we're becoming a massive energy exporter. In just the past few months, we've made historic trade deals with Japan, Korea, India, and others to increase our coal exports dramatically. We're now exporting coal to all over the world, and the quality of our coal is supposed to be, I'm not an expert in coal, but I've been very good to the people that are. The quality of our coal is supposed to be the finest anywhere in the world. From West Virginia to Wyoming, from Ohio to Montana, and all across the country, we're lifting up our hardworking American miners like nobody has ever done before. We're bringing down costs of American consumers, and together we're making the most of the magnificent land that God gave us to rebuild the greatest economy and the greatest nation in the history of the world. Another one of my favorite words is the word tariff. You know, tariff is very, I know they want to hear that little story. I used to say it's my favorite word. They said, what about God? What about religion? What about family and your wife, your children? So now I make it my fifth favorite word. Oh, you have no idea. I suffered. Kayla, I was suffering from the fake news media. They were going after me when I said it was my favorite word. So I make it number 5, and I think I'm generally speaking okay. They'd like it to be a little bit later than that. But because of tariffs, you saw that it was just announced, our trade deficit has gone down. Now, if you go down 1 point, 2 points, you're like a genius. It's gone down 78%. 78%. Can you believe it? And we have to fight. Right, Speaker? And we have to fight. Just came out. Everyone's saying, that can't be right. 78% reduction in our trade deficit. And next year, we're going to be positive if we keep it all going. We're waiting for a very important decision from the Supreme Court. But I want to thank the speakers here because you have fought with me. You got it very early. Now almost everybody's getting it. But it's numbers that we've never seen. The other thing is breaking 7,000 on the S&P, and very importantly, 50,000 yesterday. 50,000 we broke on the Dow. And if you remember when I won, they said if he could ever produce 50,000 by the end of his 4th term, by the end of his 4th year, it would be unbelievably successful. Well, we produced 50,000 in excess now, went up today, in excess of 50,000 at the end of my 1st year. So that's some difference. And that's because of tariffs. So we're doing numbers that nobody thought were possible. The economy is rich. I tell the story that in Saudi Arabia, the king said, you know, sir, a year and a half ago, we were all saying you were a dead country, and now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. That's true. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world, and a lot of reasons. So once again, I'd like to thank you for the tremendous honor of being here, and especially these gentlemen in the front row and a couple of you in the second row. What happened to the guys in the second row? They couldn't make it to the front. What's wrong with them? They don't shovel it as well, right? But I want to thank you and invite the chairman of our National Coal Council, Peabody Energy CEO, which is a great company, by the way, Jim Grech, to come up and say a few words. Please, Jim. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, we stand here today representing the thousands of coal miners across the country to express our deep gratitude to you, sir, for the actions you've taken to support our industry. Your leadership and decisive actions have sent a powerful message. We have a president who, more than any other, deeply understands the importance of coal in supporting the future of this nation. Sir, you know what most people don't. The U.S. has more energy in its coal than any nation has in any single energy source. We have more energy than Russia has in its gas, and we have more energy than Saudi Arabia has in its oil. Yet before you, sir, presidents were afraid to allow coal to help keep electricity abundant and low cost. And Mr. President, that changed with you. We saw the impact of your wise policy in real time during the recent winter storm as temperatures plunged and demand surged. The coal plants you directed to keep open provided the stability and resilience that the grid needed. And today, thanks to your leadership, sir, we are working with your administration on the potential to build new coal-fueled power plants and having coal emerge as a source of rare earth elements and critical minerals that are essential for our national security and economic future. And because of you, sir, the mining towns that once feared for their futures are seeing new investment, renewed optimism, and a sense of pride restored. Families feel more secure, local businesses are growing again, communities that had been written off are reinvigorated. For the thousands of workers across this industry, your support has meant more than policy, sir. It has meant dignity, stability, and the recognition that their work matters in making America great again. So, sir, Mr. President, on behalf of Michael Day, the chairman of the Washington Coal Club, and all the coal miners across our great country, I'd like to ask there's some executives and coal miners are going to join us on stage, and we are going to present you an award, sir.
Oh, it's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, fellas, very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Sir, to show our appreciation, the trophy says the undisputed champion of beautiful clean coal. Thank you, sir.
They make a lot of money now, right? It's great to bring it back. You were treated very badly, and now you're treated really well. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, very much. Appreciate it. Speak with We don't use auto pens. There's no auto pen. Okay, come on up. That's great. Okay. Here you go, fellas. Take these. Take these, fellas. There you go. I'll get up. Okay, come on. You guys okay?
Yeah,
Speak
all
up.
right.
Thank you very much, folks. Good luck. Make a lot of money. All right. Have a good time. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. Within the 3 million some odd Jeffrey Epstein files released by the DOJ in recent weeks, hidden camera video is shedding light on a little-known but critical story of Jeffrey Epstein's infamous Black Book. How did the FBI ultimately secure the only known copy? Jail Bryan has a fascinating story in tonight's Prime Focus.
Who created this book?
Epstein himself.
This book was made by Epstein?
All his Mercedes, all his claims, they were supposed to have this. He made all of it disappear.
A hidden book, a sting operation.
Everything's on track, pal. I'll have everything all ready to go tomorrow. Are you going to be available tomorrow afternoon?
And a secret camera.
Those are the girls' numbers, or these are girls' numbers?
All of this to years.
Newly released FBI audio and video from the Department of Justice's trove of Epstein records detailing like never before the mission to recover the only known copy of what investigators and others have called Jeffrey Epstein's infamous Black Book.
Through the
Jeffrey Epstein investigation, they never had that black book. They never really even knew about it. It's a plethora of the rich and famous. It's just really the Holy Grail, as they call it.
The book investigators believed might hold the keys to exposing Epstein's secret world, his connections, and his crimes.
All minors, all young girls?
Very young, very young.
Like when you say very young, how young are we talking?
16, 17. The teenagers, they have braces, most of them.
It all started in March 2005. The Palm Beach police began their investigation on Epstein, looking into his scheme for sexual massages from young women after a 14-year-old girl reported to law enforcement she was molested at his mansion. ABC News covering it all in 2019 for a 2020 special.
The Palm Beach police did a thorough investigation. They really had a lot of evidence. They did trash pulls. It was an 11-month investigation. It was intense.
But Epstein caught wind there was going to be a search at his Palm Beach residence and devised a plan. Videos of the Palm Beach police search match what investigators also reported in their own documents. That monitors, keyboards, and printers were found, but no computers.
Jeffrey Epstein was tipped off on the search warrant. You see the police video when they go into the house, the computers had all been removed.
Newly revealed witness testimony from 2019 shows Epstein called one of his assistants, who he was also abusing, and directed her to remove not only the computers, but all the contact books in his house. Documents show in October 2005, Epstein told her to go to Palm Beach to meet someone to hand over the contact books and computers, and that Epstein ordered her to hand everything over to a private investigator. She was then directed by Epstein to collect all the contact books from his home in the Virgin Islands, and later to bring items back from the island to New York, where she was told to shred it in Maxwell's office. And the contact books from both residences then erased, or so they thought. Unbeknownst to Epstein or his now convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, Alfredo Rodriguez, Epstein's butler, had kept a copy of the book. Rodriguez worked as the manager of Epstein's Palm Beach home for 6 months between 2004 and 2005. Documents show he told the FBI, among other things, he knew that Epstein was having sexual contact with minor females at his house.
Alfredo called the police. I mean, Alfredo was terminated because of his concern about the activities that were going on inside the bedroom.
Rodriguez spoke to the Palm Beach police and FBI, but never shared he had a copy of the book, essentially depriving law enforcement of a bounty of investigative leads. After Epstein was behind bars, lawsuits and civil depositions began.
One of the people I deposed that summer was Alfredo Rodriguez.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Brad Edwards, representing Epstein survivors, interviewed Alfredo Rodriguez 2 times.
Alfredo Rodriguez was very nervous for the first part of the deposition. You could tell he had more information than he was giving. He talked about, it's the Black Book. He talked about being fired and obtained some documents that had some of the names of some of the young girls that were coming over to the house. But he gave the impression in his deposition that he didn't know where that was.
Rodriguez, desperate for money, saying no one would hire him, later asked Edwards for $50,000 in exchange for a copy of the book.
I couldn't convince him that he needed to just turn it over. So I called the U.S. Attorney's Office and said, look, I have to report that a witness is holding a document hostage with a price tag of $50,000.
A sting operation with the FBI was quickly launched to retrieve a copy of the book from Rodriguez. New video and phone calls show the exchange.
I was going to tell you where to meet me. Okay, Gary, go ahead. Give me the address. There's a Hilton Hotel at the corner of Glades Road in Boca. I'm in room 118.
No. FBI didn't know nothing. Nothing. The FBI just went through the files of Palm Beach Police Department They didn't subpoena me.
The man on the right, an FBI agent undercover as Brad Edwards' associate. On the left, Rodriguez in possession of a copy of the Black Book. In the hour-long recorded conversation, Rodriguez tells the undercover FBI agent who to contact, circling the names of people he thought would have more useful information.
I highlight in this book that I have access to crucial information according to my handwriting. And also I compiled a list of the people, a list of the girls and families that were going when I was household manager. Okay. But what I took my time to organize this with stickers and I see dates. All right. You will see a lot of important people here.
The amount of famous names that were in that. Mick Jagger, Courtney Love, Prince Andrew, Fergie, just people from all over the world. President Clinton, President Trump. He wasn't president at the time, but Donald Trump was in there. And just so many famous people were in there.
And though many names are listed, inclusion in the book is not evidence of any wrongdoing. In the video, Rodriguez calls out names of people he thought had information, including now President Donald Trump, who's denied any knowledge of Epstein's crimes.
Of course, Donald Trump.
Also mentioned so-called massage providers from everywhere in the world.
The fact that the names and numbers of these girls, not only here, but in other locations throughout the world, were contained in this book, he thought he needed to preserve that information.
All right, let me get you your money, buddy. Okay, here.
Shortly after that, when I guess they were supposed to give him the $50,000, he was arrested. It was uncovered to Alfredo that these were not Brad's fixers. This was the FBI.
Fast forward to 2026 as Epstein survivors continue to call for transparency and accountability.
While survivors have been exposed, abusers' names and contact information is redacted while our faces and stories are left on full display.
If you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice.
And the deceased sex offender's so-called Black Book is now held by the FBI. It's been used as evidence during civil litigation and in Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal trial. Alfredo Rodriguez passed away in 2015 at the age of 60. After holding on to Epstein's book for 5 years, he was charged with obstruction of justice and in 2012 sentenced to 18 months in prison. Longer than Jeffrey Epstein would ever spend behind bars.
Our thanks to Jay O'Brien. Now to the growing fallout from the release of the Epstein files. In a 6-page letter to Congress, Attorney General Pam Bondi declares that the DOJ has released all of the relevant documents. This comes as Britain's former Prince Andrew is facing more scrutiny. Here's ABC's investigative reporter, Olivia Rubin.
Tonight, the Department of Justice telling Congress it has released all of its relevant records on notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, but bipartisan lawmakers demanding more answers from Attorney General Pam Bondi.
I don't have confidence in her. She hasn't got any sort of accountability there at the DOJ.
This is a massive cover-up being led by the White House and the DOJ.
In a letter to lawmakers obtained by ABC, the DOJ explaining its redactions, claiming nothing was withheld or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. The DOJ has already acknowledged it withheld 3 million pages of records from the public for various reasons, raising questions after the names of some victims were initially left exposed, while names of some powerful men were initially redacted. Bondi declaring last year the Epstein case was closed. This week, deflecting questions about any further investigations.
I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General.
Republican Nancy Mace excoriating the department, writing, "The excuses provided for not releasing all the files will not hold up in a court of law. This isn't going away until people go to jail." Overseas, the consequences have been far-reaching, from France to Norway to the UK, where police are now assessing whether to investigate former Prince Andrew and searching the homes of former Ambassador Peter Mandelson over potential misconduct in public office. Prince Andrew has denied any wrongdoing, and Mandelson has expressed regret for his association with Epstein, but said he never witnessed any criminal activity. Back in the U.S., the files roiling Wall Street and Hollywood. But in Washington, D.C., President Trump standing by his Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, who admitted he visited Epstein's island with his family years after Epstein pled guilty to sex crimes. Lutnick has never been accused of wrongdoing.
Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary.
And Lindsay, Democrats on the Hill say they are pushing for more testimony from Lutnick, as now a high-profile deposition has already been scheduled for this week with billionaire Les Wexner, a former financial client of Epstein, who now says he didn't know of any wrongdoing. Lindsay.
Olivia, thank you.
Overnight, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie making a new plea for her mother Nancy's return.
I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone.
Investigators are reporting a break in the case. Sources say they've recovered DNA from a glove found about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. They're now awaiting further test results.
It's a good lead, but it is just a lead right now. But it's unusual. It's a glove by the side of the road, and they were able to get a profile of it.
That glove appears similar to the one worn by the man seen here, tampering with Guthrie's doorbell camera.
We've gotten DNA back, and that's why I say, well, they already have the genetic markers of those that we think had access to the home, rightfully so, the family, the landscapers, the pool guy.
The FBI can compare the male profile to DNA found on Guthrie's property and run it through a national database. Investigators are also using sales records to trace the purchase of the backpack the suspect was seen wearing. The search for Guthrie is now in its 3rd week. Sources say investigators are leaning away from members of the Guthrie family as suspects. They're also leaning away from 2 men detained after traffic stops. One last week in Rio Rico, Arizona, and another Friday night about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. That person's house was searched and a gray SUV was towed. Friends of the Guthries say the family is frustrated with the pace of the investigation, but they aren't giving up hope.
There's 400 cops that have hope on this. There's an entire community that have hope on this. Every case, we just don't quit.
It is never too late to do the right thing. And we are here. And we believe in the essential goodness of every human being. And it's never too late.
The FBI could have something back on the glove DNA soon. Investigators are also working to build a more substantial profile of the suspect. They've already estimated his height at 5'9" or 5'10". Now they'll try to measure his weight and shoe size.
I'm joined now by 2 experts on how law enforcement approaches these kinds of investigations. Former FBI profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole, the Forensic Science Program Director at George Mason University, and Jim Jones, the Digital Forensics Program Director, also at George Mason. Good morning to you both. Mary Ellen, I want to start with you. You just heard Aaron's report there. You just heard what happened on Friday with a suspicious person was pulled over. That turned out to be nothing. I know you also worked on the Elizabeth Smart kidnapping. Her father is joining us soon. But when you look at this case and where we are and the growing frustration, do you feel there were any missteps?
One of the issues in the case that is concerning, and I don't want to call it a misstep because it does happen in other cases, is the crime scene itself. The crime scene was released, and then they came in again, then it was released again. And the problem with that is that you can compromise forensic evidence. Forensic evidence can be very fragile to begin with. And so when you open and then close a crime scene like that, it can be compromised.
So there could be footprints or something like that.
There could be footprints. There could be evidence that was there originally, and then somebody else touched it, so now it's compromised. So that could be problematic once they get to court and they have to present it, but it could also delay identifying somebody.
And from what they have already recovered, they found these gloves. They may or may not be connected in any way, although you can't imagine there are too many gloves in that warm climate. So what do you think is going on now, and what will they have with that?
Well, with the gloves, they're looking for, obviously, for forensics, specifically the DNA. And that's something that is obtainable with those gloves. So they're going back and they're looking for more forensics, with DNA being the gold standard.
But would the person have to be in a database, a DNA database?
Not necessarily. CODIS is our database, and that's the one that all the states contribute to. And if you're arrested, your DNA is in the database. However, there are other methods, and that one of them can be forensic genetic genealogy. Unfortunately, that takes a while to be able to use that.
Okay, Jim, and specifically that doorbell video cam. She didn't have a description. Google managed to find that anyway. It took them a while. It's an intense process. How do they do that?
Yeah, what happens with the cameras is they record the imagery no matter what. And assuming the camera is activated, which this one was, the data, the imagery goes up to the Google Cloud. Whether you have a subscription or not, that's irrelevant. The subscription determines how long the data is kept. And so in this case, the data was uploaded to the cloud. She didn't have a subscription. It was put in the queue to be deleted. And it was somewhere during that deletion process that they were able to recover the data. So deleting a file doesn't actually get rid of the data, just marks it for overwriting later. They were able to go to those servers, to that storage, and find the remnant pieces of the video.
And what we saw of him pulling down the camera or trying to cover up that camera, did it make any difference that the camera was pulled down? There's nothing in the camera itself, is there?
That's accurate. Likely did not have any impact on it. The camera itself stores a very small amount of video if it's actively connected to Wi-Fi. If it loses Wi-Fi, it'll hold up to maybe an hour worth of clips, but it won't transmit them until it gets Wi-Fi back. So taking the camera off, it probably was still trying to record at that time, and then later couldn't upload, and so the data never made it to Google.
And Mary Ellen, the backpack, they also have identified where this backpack was sold. You heard Aaron there at Walmart, $11. How big is that database to find how many people have purchased that? I assume they're going online, they're going store to store.
It's huge. And that will take a while because there's so many stores in Arizona. He didn't have to buy it in Arizona, could have bought it somewhere else. So that's going to take a while. But the beauty of the fact that he could have gotten it at Walmart is they have a tremendous amount of cameras inside their stores. So once they narrow that down to possibly one store, maybe in the area, then they can go back and they can look at the cameras and they can actually see the day that the person
on that day, that video would be preserved. And Jim, I want to ask you about the timeline. So we see this guy go to the door. Do we have any idea whether that was right before he may have pounded on the door? We've seen that there was I believe, no forced entry as far as we know. So is it likely that he went back to the car, took off the mask, tried to knock on the door? I know you're speculating there, but in terms of that timeline, what we know and what we don't know.
Yeah, the best public information shows that the camera was disconnected around 1:45-ish a.m. around 2:30, her pacemaker stopped connecting to the Apple Watch. So that's probably when she physically left the premises. So there's about a 45-minute window from the camera stops recording to she leaves the premises. We don't know if he entered immediately or if he entered 5 minutes before she left.
And Marilyn, I just want to close with you. How frustrated should people be at this point, or is this normal?
Unfortunately, this is normal. These cases are not easy to resolve, even with technology. And what they're depending on now, in part, large part, is for somebody to come forward and say, that's my husband, that's my brother, that's my next door neighbor.
And it doesn't appear anybody's done that yet. So
Not
we'll
yet.
hope. Thanks to both of you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so there you have it. There's a lot that is going on. When it comes to Nancy Guthrie, it just doesn't look good. So I'll be praying, I'll be watching, we'll see what's going on. And that's pretty much where we are. As far as everything else that's going on now, these Epstein files, there's so much to go through. Just because a person's name was mentioned in the Epstein files does not make them guilty. So it's been taking me a while to really go through all of these names, go through all the stuff. There's so much to go through that it's just layered and it's really dark. So I can really just go through it a little at a time. Right, Doris, sincere prayers for the family. Prayers for the family. Claude says, I have a bad feeling about Mrs. Guthrie. I have a bad feeling too. And this one is just so close to home. I live next door to Arizona, right? And because of her age, it just hits a little different. So that's my feeling on it. It doesn't look good, but I will continue to, I will just continue to pray. But I'm kind of with Dr. Manhattan and Claude. Like, it just doesn't look good, you guys. Now, Donald Trump and his speeches, I love to give you guys what's up to date, what's happening in the country. Donald Trump is just being Donald Trump, and he's doing what he does. He loves our country, he loves our nation, and he's doing what he's got to do. So I appreciate you guys on this President's Day watching and listening to what our Commander-in-Chief had to say. So Donald Trump is doing exactly what the American people have voted for him to do. We have midterm elections coming up. Conservatives, go out there and vote. Vote. Do your thing. I look like I had a rough weekend. I did kind of have a rough weekend. But Sebastian. But anyways, you guys, I will keep my eye out. I know you guys keep asking me about these Epstein files, and we'll go through them. But it's a lot to go through. It's a lot. He's the beast. What'd you say, Doc? Okay, I see our comments. So anything else? I think that just about covers it. I am waiting for the trial with Maduro. We're gonna cover that, and I haven't seen anything new on Tyler Robinson. I don't know what's going on there. I know there's been a lot with Erica Kirk. There's been a lot with her. So we just have a lot to talk about. Okay, I'm not sure what you guys are saying in the chat, but Doctor is in a rare form today. You guys have any thoughts on what I was saying, though, and what you saw? What are you talking about? Don't talk about what are we talking about? The Democrats hid Epstein. They knew all about it. Epstein was their boy. They went to the island to party and have a great time to relieve stress. Okay, I don't really do conspiracies, but I can say that thank you, what's up? I appreciate you. If people were really interested in the Epstein files, and yes, we are interested in the Epstein files. However, the Epstein files could have been released during the Biden administration. I don't hear the people that's asking for the names redacted. No one's asking for. There's Democrats and there's Republicans in the Epstein files. I'm not even gonna hold you. There's both in there. There's so many names in there. But again, Be careful, because just because they're in there, it does not mean they're guilty of any crime. Donald Trump is not a Pedialyte, or you guys know the word I'm substituting there for algorithm purposes. Donald Trump has not been convicted of any crime with children at all. So that's fake news, and I don't spread fake news over here. Donald Trump has not. Now, is his name in the file? Yes, his name is in the file, just like a lot of other people's names are in the files, but it doesn't mean that he's done anything wrong. The only people I can really talk about that's been convicted is Maxwell, and I know Prince Andrews had a lot to say. There's a lot of things, but I'm not going to say that everybody's guilty just because their name is in there. My phone is going to die. Thank you, Dr. Manhattan. Thank you for hanging out with me and for holding me down. I appreciate you. Get some rest. Get some rest. Get some rest. And I hope that you feel better soon. There's no proof of that, Jess. Not at all. Trump's name is in there because he's an FBI informant. Prince Andrews wasn't convicted. I didn't say that Prince Andrews was convicted at all. I said that he's been speaking out. I was looking at an old interview with Prince Andrew, but I never said that he was convicted. I only mentioned one person. Elites don't get convicted. Unfortunately, I can't hold you on that. They're not treated the same as if it was a regular person. I can agree with that. Oh, Obama did respond to the video, the AI video that was generated of him and Michelle. And, he called them clowns and stuff like that. That's a ridiculous comment. What's a ridiculous comment? I haven't really seen your comment. What are you talking about? Too much smoke to be fire? You have to be convicted. I'm not going to go with that. Let me see if I can find Obama's response for you. There's a lot of people's name in that file, and you can't say that everybody in that file is guilty of anything. So I'm not going there with you guys. Bill Gates wasn't convicted either, but his ex-wife threw him way under the bus. That was crazy. Let me see if you guys can hear it.
Publicly addressing President Trump's racist post depicting him and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes. What does he say?
Maybe I can find it for you. Maybe I can find it for you guys. Let me see. Give me a second.
Switching gears for a moment here, for the first time, former President Obama is publicly addressing President Trump's racist.
Okay, hold on. All right, I got you right here. Let me share my screen. I want to make sure I address this before I get out of here. Hang on, here we go. Let me go on mute.
Post depicting him and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes. What is he saying?
Yeah, this was on a podcast interview. It was wide-ranging, and the former President Obama, he discussed how there is no longer any decorum, but he said that most Americans still find this kind of behavior troubling. He also said there's a, quote, clown show that's happening on social media and television. Take a listen to what he said.
First of all, I think it's important to recognize that the majority of the American people find this behavior deeply troubling. There's this sort of clown show that's happening in social media and on television. And what is true is that there doesn't seem to be any shame about this among people who used to feel like you had to have some sort of decorum and a sense of propriety and respect for the office, right? So that's been lost.
And as a note, President Trump still has not apologized for the racist video, and the White House has taken down the video. It since has, but it's blaming it on an unnamed staffer. So that video also only coming down after an outpouring of outrage from both sides of the aisle, including from some of the president's closest allies on Capitol Hill.
All right, Selena Wang, thank you.
To the backlash over President Trump's now deleted racist social media post depicting former President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes. Images of Black people as apes have been used throughout American history to dehumanize and stigmatize the community. The fallout is rippling through the Republican Party now. Chief Washington correspondent John Carl interviewed Republican Congressman Mike Lawler on ABC's This Week. Here's part of their conversation.
Look, I think sometimes in our public discourse, it is best to just say, I'm sorry. I take the White House at their word that this was a mistake, but at the
I'm back. Let me remind you guys, y'all didn't need to see that one again, right? Were y'all watching that? Did you guys want to finish that? Clearly some racist-ish. Look at Donald Trump's response.
Have you fired or disciplined that
Can you
staffer
see it?
who posted the video from your account that included the Obamas?
No, I haven't. That was a video on, as you know, voter fraud, and fairly long video, and they had a little piece and had to do with the Lion King. It's been very well, it's been shown all over the place long before that was posted. But that was a very strong, and I'm sure you saw it, a very strong piece on voter fraud. And the piece that you're talking about was all over the place many times, I believe for years. Yeah, please.
Have you fired?
Okay, so that's his response. And that's where we are. So, all right, you guys. Truth said Trump is great. Trump is great. Okay, that's just an excuse to show Trump again. What are you talking about, Claude? That was not an excuse to show Donald Trump. Donald Trump is, you know what? Donald Trump is doing what Donald Trump's supposed to do. I am going to go through, like I said, I'm going to go through these files with you guys, and we'll talk about the Epstein files. We'll talk about what's going on with the victims, and you know, Claude, that's what it is. Racist, not racist, all damage. Let me say this. Donald Trump, there's no evidence of Donald Trump being a racist at all. There's no evidence of Donald Trump being a racist. He has done so much for a lot of people, and the video is what the video is. I mean, I'm sorry that it's offensive to a lot of people, but I'm just gonna stay focused on the good that he's done. And I'm not gonna, I just can't paint everybody as a racist just because of another person's mistake. As long as girl, you're gonna be disappointed when you find out what Trump is doing to our country. Well, I'm in this country and I'm not disappointed yet. I think that Donald Trump is doing a fine job is there a lot more that needs to be done? Absolutely. There's a lot more that needs to be done in our country. But we live in the greatest country. I love America. I love being here. And I can only pray for the best for our country. Okay. Donald Trump wants to put America first. It's about time somebody wants to put America first and do what's in America's best interest. Okay. You must be delusional if you don't think Donald Trump is racist. I don't think Donald Trump is racist, and I'm a Black woman. Not at all. I think that some things hurt people's feelings. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I know that things hurt people's feelings, but I'm not painting people as a racist. We have immigration problem here, an illegal immigration problem here, the same one that the former President Obama tackled with Tom Homan, the same thing that Donald Trump is doing. But he did not deport as many people as Obama, and nobody had a problem. It wasn't in the news. We didn't have protests and riots when Obama was in office. So my question is, why now? Why? Just like we didn't have all the pushback. I mean, the Epstein files could have been released during the Biden administration, and now right before midterms, and while Donald Trump is in office, people are making it seem as if Donald Trump is hiding something when he signed the Transparency Act. Donald Trump has no problem having the files released. I played you guys a video. Pam Bondi is saying, you know what? All of the necessary files from Epstein has been released, and what are people complaining about? I feel that the only reason why people are still asking for these files is because they didn't get what they wanted with Donald Trump. It's all about, let's find something with Donald Trump. And because they can't find anything, you wanted to make it seem like, oh, the reason why people haven't found, he wasn't forced 2 weeks. The reason why people have not found anything in these files is because those files has not been released yet. You're not going to find anything illegal. I'm not going to say you're not going to, but you haven't found anything illegal in those files. I do not, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, I do not believe that you will, because if there was something in there, it would have been released before he was elected to be the president. We know this. They would use anything to try to get Donald Trump out of office, and that would be something that they would release, but they can't. So instead of just saying that Donald Trump has not done anything illegal, they want you to believe that it's just because it hasn't been released and he's hiding something. Marjorie Taylor Greene would have been the first one to say, hey, put that out there, okay? Because she's been on this bandwagon against Trump for a while now that we're starting to see. So, good morning, Robert. He pushed the most for the files not to be released. That's not true. You're a brave soul. Bless your heart. Thank you, Kamika. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I have suspicious concerns that they will fabricate something in the files. Damage, yes. I was looking through the Jmail and all that. I've been looking through it. If they fabricate something, we would know. We would know, because they would have put that out a long time ago. They would have. Why people are fighting so hard against our country, I don't know. I don't know. We live in the greatest country in this world. Donald Trump is the commander-in-chief for the next 3 years. So are people going to be miserable for the next 3 years? And the fear-mongering that goes along with the conservative party, with the Republican Party and conservatives, is just sad and it's insane. Trump's going to cut these benefits. Donald Trump's going to do this. Donald Trump's going to do that. And no. Donald Trump lays out clearly what he's going to do. We see it. He's getting it done. He's taken a strong stance against the drug cartels, against drugs and fentanyl coming into this country, lowering the cost of prescription drugs, because the United States pays the highest prices in prescription drugs than other countries. And that's just what we have to do. Illegal immigration puts a toll on on our economy, with our medical bills and all of those things. And there's only 2 reasons I tell you guys why they want illegal immigrants here. I'm not going to get into a lot of details on that. It's almost 5 o'clock in the morning, but we've spoken a lot about it. Hey, Laquita, it's good to see you. You are looking great. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, let me look at you guys' comments. I've spoken enough. Really, the U.S. is terrible now with Trump. I disagree. If you guys think America sucks, then I don't know why it's not even worth talking about. America is an amazing land of opportunity, and anybody can make it here. I'm living proof of it. Anybody can make it here if you want to. But wanting someone to do it for you or a handout, no. America is not a socialist country. Being a socialist country will not work. And we all have obstacles that we have to overcome. And all you have to do is make a decision and do it. You can do whatever you want to do within reason, okay? Within reason. But if you want to make it here, you can make it here. But national security, these are the reasons why Donald Trump was voted in. Because no matter those protests that you see with those paid protesters and the agitators out there, what was happening in Minnesota, that's not, no. The truth is, America wanted our borders protected. Americans wanted the borders protected, just like every other country, because that is the way to protect American citizens. That's it. Can you name 3 ways that Donald Trump has improved your life? Well, I have conservative values. Donald Trump hasn't. It's not about me per se, Kamika. It's about Americans, and Donald Trump is fixing a lot of things that has been wrong in this country, and it's been wrong for a long time. Protecting the border does help protect my family. The evidence of him being racist, I don't see any evidence of him being racist. I can name more than 3 things that Donald Trump has done for this country. And since I'm Black, I can even name things that he's done for Black people, including the money that he's given to HBCUs. I love the fact that men cannot play in women's sports and in the Olympics. I have kids, and I don't want them to think that that stuff is normal. Trump is the best president as Trump is. I just did, and I can keep going. I can name more than that. I can't. He didn't take money from the HBCUs. He didn't. That's fake news. Donald Trump. I'm not here to convince you guys to vote for Donald. Well, you can't vote for Donald Trump anymore. I'm not trying to push my beliefs on you, but I am telling you right now that our country was going in the wrong direction, and Donald Trump is doing what he needs to do. Having all these, Donald Trump is doing what he needs to do to bring it back, and that's what we wanted. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm gonna get some rest, and I appreciate you guys. I will see you all later. Feel free to leave me a comment. Go under my comment section. Leave me a comment. Leave me things that you guys want me to talk about. I do respond to my comments. Queen, it's all good. As long as it's respectful, and you don't have to agree with me. It's all for conversation. I'm praying for the country, and I'm praying for you guys. Bye-bye. Good night, Jerome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Okay, Jess, I hear you. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. Good night, Sebastian.